Hello everyone and welcome to episode 1 of Let's Play Far Cry 4. This is the Xbox One version played on the Xbox One X. And it is recorded at 1080p because that is the best that I can record and edit. I don't have a editor capable of editing in 4K, and I don't have anything capable of recording in 4K either, so... And besides that, I got 1080p monitors, so this is the best I can do. So if you don't like 480 or 1080p coming out of the Xbox One X, sorry in advance. This is, again, the best I can do. It still looks pretty damn good, though. I mean, I thought so. I wasn't even playing it. I was playing it at like half my TV's native resolution. And I was still impressed with it. Now, you might be wondering why I'm deciding to do Far Cry 4. And if you watched my Oblivion Let's Plays, you might already know this. But I'm going to talk about it here anyway. When I was trying to record Let's Play Oblivion for the first time, I spent about 40 minutes trying to get Oblivion to load. Try as I might... I could never get it to load properly. I don't know why, but it would not load properly for me. I could not get it to read the damn disc. I think I might wind up needing to get myself a better, a new DVD drive or Blu-ray drive for my computer or something like that, because there's something funky going on with this. The disc looks fine, but it would not load. Yep, I was playing it from a disc copy of it. It was the Game of the Year edition. Was trying to play it from a disc copy of it. I don't have it on Steam or GOG because I got the physical copy with the 2 discs. With the disc 1 is the main game and disc 2 is the DLC. All the DLC for it. God damn it, stop that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't know what was causing it to not record, right? So... after about 40 minutes of trying and getting frustrating and never getting the goddamn thing to load properly, I just flat out gave up and moved on and decided that I would play Far Cry 4. Well, I played Far Cry 4 about an hour and 40 minutes, and everything that I did in that playthrough you could see in these episodes of Let's Play Far Cry 4. So you're not missing anything, but this is not the first time that I played it. Like it was when I played it, tried to record it the first time, that was the first time I played it. But I recorded it to the... if you don't know, I have a ClearClick HDMI capture device. And what that does is you plug a... a USB thumbstick into it, and it records directly to that. Then you take the USB thumbstick and plug it into your PC and transfer the files over to your PC for editing. Now, I have to use the program that it came with to convert the files to a format that Sony Vegas will accept, because whatever the standard format for that is, Sony Vegas doesn't like it. And that might just be me owning an older version of Sony Vegas or something. I don't know. But it doesn't like whatever format that's in. So I have to convert them. And then I can mess with them. And I don't know if that causes video loss or anything like that. I don't know if it makes it look worse. I know sometimes I get like pixelation and stuff like that on the screen, especially during like camera movement and stuff. But you could see that a lot in my Fallout 3 review, and that irritates me, but I can't really do anything about it. I have to edit the way I'm able to edit unless I can eventually afford better recording and editing equipment. But I want to upgrade my PC before I get to that. Anyway, I took the USB drive, plugged it into my computer, tried to transfer the files from my USB drive to my hard drive, and as soon as I did that, the file corrupted. So I lost what would have been 3 episodes of Let's Play Far Cry 4, and didn't get to play it, and didn't get to post it. Then the next day I got Oblivion to run on my very first attempt, and I recorded the 3 episodes of Oblivion. Then I was like, well, then last night I was like, well, Dalton is still in Florida for the time being. I should record something else. What else should I record? And I decided that I wanted to try to record this again, and this time, obviously, the file actually worked because you're watching it. So you're getting 3 episodes of Let's Play Far Cry 4 on top of the 3 episodes that I did of Let's Play Oblivion. And I'm not done with Oblivion. I will come back to it at some point and record more, but I couldn't tell you when that's going to happen.
Is this your +1?
It will happen eventually. Can't say when.
Strong silent. I like it. I am terribly.
As I said, this is my second time playing through this intro of Far Cry 4, and everything you see here is everything that I have done in the game. And for the early going, it reminds me a lot of Far Cry 3, which is what I've heard is, in a lot of ways, it's very similar to 3. Pagan Min seems like an interesting and entertaining villain, which after Far Cry 3 you kind of expect. I mean, yeah, the Jackal in 2, who had potential to be interesting. I mean, a lot of, I think they were trying to invoke Heart of Darkness with that, the Joseph Conrad's classic Heart of Darkness with that particular game. There was actually an article on that. I probably try to find it if I can remember to do so, and link it in the description for you guys to read. But that it's an old article from back when the game was still new. That's how old it is. But it was pretty interesting. Someone making the connections between Far Cry 2 and Heart of Darkness. But overall, you barely saw the Jackal in that game, and didn't make for the most interesting villain type, I guess. But Voss was a lot more entertaining in 3, and that's the main reason that people like a lot of the writing in 3 is because of him. In fact, a lot of people were of the opinion that it should have stopped after his part in the game was done.
You really don't remember me, do you? Your mother?
And yeah, maybe it outstayed its welcome. I don't know. I have this is all I have played of Far Cry 4. I have not beaten it. I can't speak to its quality beyond this, but what I've played, I'm rather impressed with. The obviously, it's a visual upgrade from 3. It's a gorgeous game. It really is. It's holds up pretty. Like, obviously, the newest ones look better, but considering this was early for this gen, this game is early 8th gen. This game is really, really pretty and holds up pretty well. I wonder how it looks on the previous consoles, because this game was also released on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, and I can't imagine those look anywhere near as good as this. I imagine this is significantly more detailed than that, because you've got much more powerful hardware to work with for this one, but now you get quite a bit of story straight up front here.
Your mother decided to flee to the United States with you on her hip.
It's an interesting story, but takes a while to get to the actual gameplay. The weapon mechanics feel really, really good in this game. The weapons they sound powerful. They're fun to fire. Enemies are fun to fight. Like, if you know me, then you're probably well aware that I've said that Fallout 4 feels more like an open world FPS with light RPG elements than it does a proper RPG. And if that's what they're going for, then they need to learn something from this, because Far Cry 3, 2, 3, 4, they're much better in that regard than Fallout 4 is. The writing is better. Characters and world. The writing is better. The weapon mechanics and movement and just controls in general are a fair bit better in this game than they are in 4.
Find out what he knows.
And honestly, 4 looked dated when it came out.
Please stay right here. Enjoy the crab rangoon.
Like the art design of the Fallout world still holds up really well. It's still gorgeous. I love the aesthetic of Fallout. Like, it's a beautiful game. What I don't... but on a technical level, yeah, you could tell that Bethesda needed a new engine even then. It looked dated on a technical level, and that's the same year that The Witcher came out. And compare The Witcher, the look of its open world, to the look of Far Cry 4's open world. There's no fucking contest. The Witcher 3 looks a lot goddamn better. So what's your excuse for releasing a game years later that's barely upgraded beyond what Fallout 4 was? I don't fucking know. But yeah, impressed with this game on a technical level, especially given that it's fairly old at this point. It's a really pretty game, and it looks really, really good on the Xbox One X. I didn't notice any major like hiccups or anything like that. I didn't notice any frame rate issues or serious dips or glitches or anything like that. It seems to run pretty well. Which I'd expect, given that this was released on both previous gen consoles and current gen. So I expect the current gen console, especially on a console, significantly more powerful console like the Xbox One X, I would expect it to be much, much better. But yeah, this is where the gameplay finally starts, and you start off by just exploring this, and there's a couple chests you can loot and some money you can get to spend on weapons and upgrades and stuff like that later on. And it's kind of a bit of a slower start, if I'm being honest, than 4 does and 3 had, because 3, the gameplay basically starts with you running away from people trying to kill you. This is a much slower start, where you're at the table and you're just doing a little bit of exploring, read some documents, pick up some items, search around while you listen to this guy scream and get tortured in the background, basically. So it's a bit of a slower start. That's not necessarily a bad thing. This is good for setting like mood and atmosphere and stuff like that. It works fine. And you can see all the very obvious, like, Hindu, I think. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I could be making myself sound like a moron trying to figure out what... It takes place in a place called Kyrat, and I think that's... I think it's meant to be somewhere in, like, Eastern Asia. But, again, don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I could be way the fuck off base. But it's got... here, I'm just looking through all the different... I picked up an audiobook, and I wanted to see if it would let me read it. But apparently it's just an item that you sell. So I was looking through the menus of that. And it's got a glossary there that it tells you about all the different characters and important aspects of the game and whatnot, and lets you look through everything. And I stopped to read all of these memos, so if you don't have enough time to read it, I read kind of slow, so you probably have plenty of time to read it, but if you don't, you can always pause the video and read it if you're interested in whatever the world has in store for you. But as I said, yeah, thus far I'm pretty impressed with this game. It's gorgeous to look at and a lot of fun to play, and I didn't jump on this one back in the day, mostly because I looked at it and I thought, well, that looks extremely similar to Far Cry 3, and it feels like it is. And I don't know how much that's going to bother me as it goes on, but through the early goings, I'm kind of impressed with how it looks and plays. Like, slick, responsive controls, fun weapons that are an absolute blast of fire, excellent top-notch sound design and production values. You'd expect nothing else from this series, right? It's pretty much what you get, and here people are to rescue you.
Golden Path. We're friends. I knew your father. We're here to rescue you, son of God. What about Darpan? You are our priority. We need to get you out of here safely, no matter the cost. Darpan will understand. Now stay close.
And most of the gameplay that you're going to be seeing in these is me trying to escape. Like, a lot of this is me going through the escape sequence, because it extends just beyond actually getting out of this little complex here. Because you go out the doors, you run to a truck. Well, you'll see what happens. This is a series that I would like to play through various entries of and do some video reviews on them. So this is a series that I would like to go through and do some Doom Dog reviews on various entries in. Like, I would love to do one. I would love to do the Xbox games. What are they called? I'm going to look it up real quick while I'm talking to you. I'm going to look up what the Xbox games are called.
What the hell? There's a gun underneath the dashboard. Use it.
No, New Dawn, that's coming out soon.
Whoa. Are we safe?
I think it's called Instincts and Instincts Predator. Yeah, Far Cry Instincts was,
Shoot them.
as far as I understand, it's kind of a reworking of the first Far Cry to be a console game, which getting that game running on a console at all at the time was truly impressive. There was a port of it that was going to come to the PlayStation 2, but that never happened. Don't know if that's because it just got... because they couldn't make it work, or if they just ran out of money and it got canceled, or what. And it had a sequel called Far Cry Instincts Evolutions, and Far Cry Instincts Evolutions was also a original Xbox game, but it got ported to the Xbox 360, and it's very early on in Xbox 360's life. As Far Cry Instincts Predator, and Instincts Predator packaged both the original Instincts and Instincts Evolutions. And I have uploaded this in the past, but I have gameplay of both of the Xbox 360 version of both of those games on my channel. I'll probably, if I can remember, I will try to link in the description below to the gameplay videos of that for you guys to watch. You guys can check that out if you're interested. But they're surprisingly good looking. Like you wouldn't expect. You'd expect a lot of shortcuts in order to make the Far Cry games, Far Cry engine and whatnot work on the original Xbox. Like, okay, maybe the Xbox 360 can run it all right, but the original Xbox, that's a tougher sell. But they somehow got. I mean, it's built in the Cry engine, so they somehow got it to work. It's pretty. I would love to review those two in specific, just because I rarely ever see any coverage of them. One of them, and I don't remember which one of them got released on the Wii as Far Cry Vengeance. I'm going to look that up and, well, I'm talking to you guys and see which one that is.
This has all been just a terrible misunderstanding.
Let's see, Far Cry Vengeance. And yeah, it was, oh, it's Far Cry Instincts Evolution, so it's the sequel. It's the second one. Released on the Wii, and it was not well received at all, man. Like, apparently it controls like absolute crap on the system. Which, especially during the early days before the likes of Metroid Prime 3 or Call of Duty World at War and Call of Duty 4 on the Wii. A lot of first-person shooters on that system weren't very good, which is kind of frustrating that it took them a little while to figure it out because it always seemed like an ideal format for FPS. And when they got it to work, it was actually pretty good. Like, I want to specifically review the Wii versions of the Call of Duty games because they're a lot better than they have any right to be. But yeah, I probably won't be reviewing Vengeance unless you guys really want me to, because I really don't feel like dealing with frustrating, crappy controls when there's a better version of the game out there. You know what I mean? It's considered a remake apparently, but I'm not even sure if it looks as good as the original Xbox version, let alone the Xbox 360 port. I can't imagine it looks or runs as well as the Xbox 360 port because that's significantly more powerful hardware than the Wii, capable of displaying games in what was high resolution for the time. It was probably native 720p or 1080i. That's a good shot there. But the first Far Cry is... It was a tactical showpiece. Like, if you had a computer that could run it at the time, it was really, really impressive. But it was the Crysis of its day. Like, before there was Can It Run Crysis, there was Can It Run Far Cry. And it was never quite the meme that it was as Can It Run, that it was, Can It Run Crysis became. But it was, still a thing, like, can it run Far Cry? And a lot of computers at the time, no, it was so far advanced beyond anything else out there. Obviously, fairly low poly, fairly low texture resolution, stuff like that today, by comparison to today's games. And Far Cry looks a lot better than it did back then, because it's like a 2004 or 2005 game. But really impressive in its day, but the act of actually playing it, there are some fucking cheap enemies in the first Far Cry bit. Like, straight up bullet sponges that'll kill you in 1 or 2 hits kind of thing. And I'd just, if you played, I'd recommend just fucking playing it on goddamn easy. And I'm not even kidding about that. Like, set your gamer pride to the side for a little bit and play it on easy, because otherwise you're going to just frustrate the hell out of yourself, because the game isn't fair with its difficulty. It's annoying with its difficulty. It's the kind of difficulty that, yes, it's hard, but it's not hard in a good way, if you know what I mean. Far Cry 2 is much more fair. Still has some problems, but I like 2 a lot. A lot of people hate 2. A lot of people see it as either the black sheep of the series or one of the black sheeps in the series, and I don't agree. Like, if you want to call Primal the black sheep of the series, sure, I get it, but two in a lot of ways kind of set the formula for, laid down the design pieces and the sets and everything for what 3 would be, and its weapons just feel so goddamn good, and it's got one of the most immersive worlds of any game that I've ever fucking played. And yes, the malaria attacks can get kind of annoying. Yes, it's the I forgot what I was going to say. The weapon breaking can happen at inconvenient times. Maybe weapons are a little too brittle, I don't know, but your weapon can just straight up break and blow up, and you just don't have a weapon. You have to pick something else off the ground and use another weapon that's probably going to be faulty and shitty. But and there's long distance travels and no fast travel, and it doesn't rely on waypoints like games have done. A lot of games have done since Oblivion came out. Its travel system, its navigation is a lot more like people will mark things down on your map, and then you'll follow it on your map to where it is. So if you bring up your map, it's got the waypoint on it, but you don't have like a mini map with the waypoint on it. You have to follow like road signs and shit in Far Cry 4, like you did, or Far Cry 2, like you did in Morrowind. So it's old school in that regard, but I think that, in my opinion, that kind of adds to the immersion, while having points on your map that said go here kind of takes away from it, if you ask me. And I'm not saying that games after Far Cry 4 or after Far Cry 2 are that. Obviously I'm playing Far Cry 4 and I told you I was enjoying it, but I don't understand the hate that Far Cry 2 gets. I think it's an awesome game. It's still surprisingly pretty. Like it's over a decade old at this point, and it still looks good. Like, good work, Ubisoft. The game is just gorgeous, and the African landscapes are so fucking pretty in it. I love Far Cry 2. Everybody loves 3, and 3 took the mission structure and stuff like that and made it a lot more varied than 2. So it did take numerous steps forward with regards to how it plays and stuff like that. 3 obviously has Voss, so it has a much more memorable story and bad guy than 2 does. Here you can use meat to lure animals, and it lures a bear into the area, and he attacks them and kills them for me while he's trying to get the meat. Like, wildlife tends to be super aggressive in these games. Probably far more aggressive than they would be in real life, I would imagine. But it's fun to throw meat out there and just watch a bear pop up and maul your enemies.